Thank you very much, Ben. Thank you. Thank you. Hello, VMworld. How are you? Great. I hope you've had a great time. You saw on day one, Pat breaking through walls and Carl dancing around stage and Bill Fathers getting as excited as an Englishman can get about coaching us on the word beta. Okay? But I got to tell you, I was disappointed, Pat, that we didn't have you do the ice bucket challenge on stage. Okay? How many of you would like to see Pat do the ice bucket challenge? All right, okay, all right. No, we're not. But I got something better. I'll double dare or dare any of the partners and customers to dunk Pat and Carl between North and South Moscone on Howard, okay? And I will not just donate to ALS, the VMware Foundation, but your own. No pickers? I think, Pat, I've just signed my, job-limiting job, and any of you've got a resume, in 25 minutes, I'll send you my resume. I don't know if I'll be asked to keynote again. But it's been an exciting year. The analysts tell us it's like a night and day difference in end-user computing. We've strengthened our innovation. We've added new people to the team. We've done 3 acquisitions. And it's just on a roll, the innovations like never before. And as we look at this world, we see some fundamental shifts happening. First off, the world of users is changing. From desktop and laptops to increasingly tablets and phones and even cars. There is more software today in the modern automobile than the first 1970s spacecraft. And as you think about applications, whether it's on-premise or in the cloud or in next-generation types of applications, or data. You could have stored data in structured databases like Oracle or in unstructured systems like SharePoint. But today, there's invariably not a CIO who tells me they'd like a way that's as simple as Dropbox, but a lot more secure. So in this landscape, we decided to set ourselves a broad, big, bold vision. And any company and any group that has a big, bold vision can live with that for years and years to come. We set ourselves the vision to be the virtual workspace to allow every one of you to work at the speed of life. Now, when you think about this, when you listen to music in the consumer world, you don't lug 300 CDs into your car. You've got an iPod, you've got an iPhone, connects into iCloud, and you've got music. When you think about movies, you've got Netflix now streaming this, so you could be in San Francisco, watch part of House of Cards, and finish it in Barcelona. Our enterprise computing life has gotten so complicated with passwords and identity and a lot of the types of things that make these cumbersome. We think, as you think about the left-hand side of this, you've got desktops and laptops that are primarily Windows, now increasingly Mac and Chromebooks. But the right-hand side of this is, by definition today, a lot more heterogeneous. It's iOS, it's Android, maybe QNX inside a machine. How many of you came to this conference with something other than an iPhone or an Android phone? 2 people, and I'll pray for you, okay? But the fact of the matter is, we live in a heterogeneous world, and our job as a Switzerland type of company is to cover that landscape of Windows and Mac and Chromebook and iOS and Android and QNX and be the management and security layer that allows you to work at the speed of life. So in that context today, I'm going to talk in the next several minutes about 3 core pillars. What we're doing in the world of desktops and laptops. What are we doing in the world of mobile and machine? And how we think we can help you share content and data in a next-generation way. And to make these 3 pillars very, very illustrative, let me take you to this beautiful form of modern architecture in Singapore. This is the Marina Sands Bay Hotel, one of the greatest forms of modern architecture in Singapore. Huge 3 towers, and at the top of this is a beautiful swimming pool, an infinity swimming pool, okay? And to build these great 3 towers, illustrated the analogy I'm going to be making, took some world-class infrastructure. This just can't be done on shaking sand. This has to be done with world-class infrastructure that's going to last for years and years to come. And as many of you know, Singapore is a bunch of islands. And once you've got that infrastructure in place, you can get to the top of this building, and you've got the view of the world. If any of you get to Singapore, you should swim at the top of the swimming pool. It's beautiful. You're out there looking out, and it's fantastic. This is the same way in which we think about the way in which these 3 towers in end-user computing have to be built. Desktop, mobile, and content have to be best of breed. They've got to be strong in their own capabilities, but they then have to tie into world-class infrastructure. Infrastructure that's specific for end-user computing. So there's a set of workspace services that include identity, catalog services, gateway services, social computing services, nicely embedded in that tie many of those 3 pillars together. But then in turn, also infrastructure that ties to the software data center. Because if you talk to the end user computing bigots, they say it's all about end user experience. If you talk to the data center bigots, you'll say it's all about infrastructure. When you can bring those together, there's magic, and that's what we are doing at VMware to pull this together. Let me cover very quickly in each of those areas, in each of those pillars, why we believe today we have leapfrogged and are best of breed, because there's no combination or integration or view at the top of the pool that's worth having if each of those pillars are not strong. First off, in the desktop area, for the first time in the industry, when we launched Horizon 6 in April, we brought together virtual desktops and app delivery in one unified platform. Never been done in the industry before. These were two separate products from our competition. We've now got a unified architecture. And the reason architectures matter is that once you've got a beautiful next-generation architecture, you can do things much faster. Customers tell us we are innovating in the last 15 months faster than some of our competitors have been in the last 15 years. That's what you get with a beautiful architecture. Secondly, we said, listen, cloud computing and the mobile cloud era is here. And it should influence even the world of desktops and laptops. So let's just be the first to do desktop as a service. We acquired the company that had coined the term desktop as a service, Desktone, and then actually brought that now on our vCloud Air architecture at an incredible price, 2 or 3x the functionality of nearest competitors. And now today we're also launching applications as a service, extending this to many different countries, even in Europe. So this is where we expect mobile cloud to influence even the desktop. We didn't stop there. We then said, listen, this whole area of the way in which you bring the virtual and the physical has never been kind of pioneered together. So let's actually make the delivery of applications really real time. You're going to see that today. It's breakthrough technology with this neat acquisition that we've did. And for the new team joining us from Cloud Volumes, I'm going to warmly welcome you. You should meet these guys. They have built one of the best solutions for real-time app delivery. And then finally, many of you said, listen, we want to have the richness of user experience in thin client computing fashion, rich 3D graphics delivered in any kind of mobile cloud era. So let's go to some of the people who do this the best. And we went and partnered with Nvidia and Google, and I'm happy here to announce a seminal partnership between the three of us. Let's launch the video.
I'm super excited with the partnership between Google, VMware, and Nvidia. With VMware, we're integrating the Nvidia Grid virtual GPU platform with the world's leading enterprise virtualization platform. With this partnership, we're able to now provide applications that run on powerful workstations and PCs in the data center, and we can stream it and offer it virtually to any customer on any device. Over the last year, we've been working closely with Google to integrate and to create a fundamentally new Chromebook.
With the next update to a Chromebook running the new Nvidia processors, customers using VMware vSphere and VMware Horizon desktop solutions will be able to deliver any application, even the most demanding 3D design or engineering applications, to a Chromebook.
The work that we have done together is truly milestone work. We've revolutionized the way that designers can work, and we've redefined the future of enterprise desktop.
Nvidia. You know, Isaac Newton said, I often see clearly because I stand on the shoulders of giants. And for us, the shoulders of many of those giants are here in the room, customers and partners. You talk to us. But also when we get great brand names like Google and Nvidia to really push us together to optimize this, to run potentially even on tier 1 hypervisors. Never been done before. This is the type of experience we want to bring to you. The second core pillar, we covered desktop and laptops, is the world of mobile and devices and machines. And we're just excited. AirWatch was announced earlier in January this year. We introduced it at PEX, but for many of you at VMworld, this is the first time you're seeing mobility. When I joined at VMware, the number one thing many of you came and talked to me was said, listen, fix your mobility strategy, and we have. We listened to you. We bought the leader in this space. Many of you, like Medtronic yesterday, already own this solution. 13,000 customers, AirWatch, the leader in mobile management and security. And this is much more than a device management solution. It's got an application management capability, content management, email management, a full platform. We're investing 3x the amount of R&D than any of our nearest competitors, all on top of a multi-tenant platform. It can run in the cloud, on vCloud Air, or also on-premise. This is a great, great solution. But again, it's nothing if you can't actually drive management security in the context of applications. So we decided to go and partner with the leader in the applications industry, and a company I'm certainly very familiar with, SAP. So it gives me great pleasure to bring on stage Kevin Ichiprani, the Senior Vice President of Business Development and Strategic Ecosystems from SAP. Welcome, Kevin. Thank you. Kevin, it's great to have you here, and thank you for joining us in VMworld in front of 22,000 plus friends. How many of you are SAP customers? You got 40, 50% here raising their hands. Okay, good. So tell us a little bit about what's new at SAP.
So SAP, it's been an exciting journey over the last 5 years. We embarked upon a mission to double our addressable market. And since that time, not only are we maintained the business leadership and applications, but we're also the #1 in analytics, the #1 in mobility, fastest growing database company, and #2 in the cloud. And from a mobility perspective, we're finding that mobility is just fundamentally pervasive in the SAP customer base. We have customers now wanting to run mission-critical applications, leveraging a phone, leveraging a tablet, even a wearable. So we've delivered a comprehensive set of solutions in mobile, from 300+ business applications, mobile security to manage, and a mobile application platform that allows developers to build rich enterprise applications that are device independent and OS independent.
That's awesome, Kevin. So let's talk a little bit about our partnership. It obviously has different facets. We announced one earlier at Sapphire. So tell us about what we're doing together as companies and how it's segued into something we're doing here in mobile.
Absolutely. This builds on a very long-standing partnership between SAP and VMware, which started 4 years ago when we started to work closely together to virtualize ERP applications and lower the TCO for mutual customers. We then recently announced at Sapphire Now, our conference 2 months ago, virtualization of HANA, our in-memory platform that now has 3,500 customers. In the new leg of the journey here, we're now bridging together and integrating our mobility offerings. And the beautiful thing here is we've taken mobile places, which think of it as our internal app store where customers can search and discover solutions. And we've opened up the APIs so we can seamlessly integrate with VMware AirWatch for those customers that have made that investment and seamlessly manage SAP applications.
We're excited about this, Kevin, because it brings all the best-of-breed capabilities that SAP has with management of applications and platforms with the best-of-breed capabilities of AirWatch and mobile security. So what's the benefit, if you would, for customers and partners? What should they feel excited about as they look at what we could do together?
Absolutely. The benefit for customers is with pre-integrated solutions, you get a lower TCO and faster time of implementation. And that's ultimately what our joint customers are looking at. Many customers have made investments in VMware AirWatch and SAP applications, and we can now allow them to seamlessly manage these applications, secure them, provision them to the device in a manner that is compliant for the corporate enterprise. But I would say, Sanjay, the most exciting part about this alliance is together 2 market leaders in mobility have come together, and I really believe that together we can accelerate the adoption of mobility in the enterprise.
We're excited to have you here. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Kevin.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. So as you can see, we continue to sit on the shoulders and partner with giants to make sure that you can use our solutions where you've got existing investments. The third pillar is content collaboration. And this is important because once you've got your desktops and your laptops and your mobile devices, probably the most important thing you want to do is share content. And we want to make sure this is simple and secure, that there's both control and there's choice. It shouldn't be an or, it should be an and. And here, for example, we want to ensure that you can access this anywhere, anytime, on a desktop, on a laptop, on a mobile device. It shouldn't be only a public cloud solution. Many of the European customers are averse to potentially a public cloud solution. Might we want something that's hybrid? It needs to have enterprise-grade security. It needs to have a key authentication scheme, digital rights management, all the types of things that allows you to ensure that those documents are secure. And then, we're not thinking that we're going to be the only store of documents. It could be in SharePoint, it could be in OneDrive, it could be in Google Drive, it could be on iCloud. You need some kind of federated system that can sit on top of any of that type of stores. That's exactly what we've done with our content file sync and share solution. So as you think about this, we're just excited, again, to partner with leading companies. And if you go to the Apple website, you'll see on Apple one of the leading case studies that they talk about of the use of iPads and iPhones is United Airlines. United Airlines is transforming themselves through mobility and the way in which they distribute content. If you walk through the airports, you see these pilots carrying around the 30, 40-pound bags, which have got all the flight manuals for the landing instructions and all the airplane information. That's now being digitized in iPads. It's not just going to help the cockpit be more efficient. The next are flight attendants, so they can serve you better on an iPad, your favorite meal. All of this is happening now in airline after airline. United Airlines was one of the first to do this. Transformed through the use of Apple technology, iPhones and iPads, but also AirWatch now for mobile security and content collaboration. So we're very excited about this type of capability. Now, all of this comes together in an integrated solution. Remember, best of breed and integrated. So we spent a lot of time actually integrating many of the pieces. Kit Colbert, who's going to be up here in a second, has written an elaborate blog about all the different places. We've got 7 streams. Here's 2 or 3 of them. There's integration between desktop and laptop, between mobile and content, not just with the workspace services, so you have things like single sign-on, but also for the software-defined data center. Let me give you one example. If you think about VDI, one of the biggest costs of them is the way in which you effectively use storage. When you use our Horizon View products on top of virtual SAN, we believe we can take that cost down by 30 to 40%. A unique advantage of bringing together sort of the head and the body, or that big tall structure with the foundation. That's the type of advantage we bring to our customers. We also announced yesterday, and Pat alluded to this, the notion of this new suite, the Workspace Suite. And think of this as the analog of the vCloud Suite. If you knew the vCloud Suite in the world of the software-defined data center, you now have the Workspace Suite for end-user computing. It takes those 3 pillars, ties it with some of the underlying glue called the Workspace Portal, and we have for you now the Workspace Suite, which we're excited to launch. Now, pulling this all together is just a huge amount of work, but we've been just grateful to get all of your support. And the type of testimonials now that are showing up among the customer and analysts have shown us clearly as #1 in product and capability, and we've also been gaining an enormous amount of market share. In the desktop area, we've now leapfrogged the competition, we're #1. In the mobile area, AirWatch was already 1, but in the last 8 months have gone further ahead in being #1 in this area, top right. So we're very, very excited about this. So to actually show you some of this in person, I thought it would be great to bring on one of the key people on my team who's been driving a lot of this technology architecture, Kit Colbert, End-User Computing CTO. Welcome, Kit. Great, Kit. Great to have you. You're obviously a VMware veteran, well known here, 10+ years. You were the star last year. Now you're obviously in this new role. Tell us a little bit about what's going on and how you're driving the architecture, and perhaps even show us some of this in action.
Sure. Well, you're too kind. But so you've been talking a lot about this mobile cloud era and how it's changing the landscape of end-user computing. But from a technology standpoint, we have to think about how we redefine an architecture that meets all the requirements of this new era. And so specifically what we're thinking about is this mobile cloud architecture. Now in this architecture, apps, data, policy, that all lives in the cloud. And devices are essentially stateless. They can connect into that cloud, and they light up and personalize for their end users. So this is great for IT because it means it's simplifying management. They can manage everything in one place and get very consistent management across all devices. It's also easy for end users because they can connect the device of their choice up to the cloud and get a consistent experience across whichever device they choose. So what I'd like to do now is dive into each of those use cases, end users and
Let's
IT,
do that.
and talk a little bit more about how that works. So let's start with end users. And what we want to do here was give you just a really concrete example of how this technology is shaping the landscape of these industries. And so one particular industry we wanted to focus on was healthcare. We couldn't think of a better example. I mean, talk about an industry that's shaped by technology, and yet at the same time isn't about technology. It's about people. It's about caring for people. So in this example, what I wanted to do was kind of give you a day in the life of a doctor at a hospital. So I'll play a doctor, and Sanjay, we'll make your mother proud.
You're a fashionable-looking doctor, Kit, with those designer shirts, and I've always wanted to be a doctor, so my mom will be proud today.
Right. Yeah, I can't wear the lab coat. I got to look good. Right. So, OK. So what I want to do is just give a simple day in the life, right? A few different vignettes of how I go through my day as a doctor at a hospital. And Sanjay, you'll be a doctor as well.
All right.
Dr.
Dr.
Poonen.
Colbert and Dr. Poonen in action.
So I'm at City Hospital today. Let's jump into the demo. So the first thing I do, I get into the office, grab my cup of coffee, sit down at my desk, log into my Mac. Now, as a doctor who moves between multiple hospitals, a big problem for me is actually being able to get access to all the apps and data for the current hospital that I'm at. VMware Workspace Portal makes this very easy for me by giving me one place to go to get access to everything and to get one-click access to it all. That's a really important piece. Not only that, I can actually drill in here and self-service add additional applications. So we can see here that I can add some EMR apps, which gives me access to patient medical records while I'm on the go. So that's great. So I can get started working, and oh, looks like I just got a call. Looks like a patient needs to see me. So I will leave my desk, leave my Mac, grab my iPad, and walk toward the patient ward. Now, while I'm walking toward the patient ward, I check my iPad. It's managed by AirWatch, and it's also connected to City Hospital's data center. So the same set of apps that I just saw on my Mac are here on my iPad. This is really important for me as a doctor because it means I can quickly transition between devices but don't lose any of the experience. So here I'm accessing the SAP EMR app. I can get all this patient's vital medical records so I can refresh my memory on his case.
So, Kit, pause for a second. You just walked from your office. You're on your run now, going to the wards. No separate login, the same sets of applications, and you have SAP EMR now brought up on the run. Pretty amazing.
Right. The point is to make it easy for me as a doctor, right? So I can be ready to talk to that patient when I get in the room. Now, I'm in the room talking to the patient, and I realize I need to check another data point. So I can quickly turn around and badge into the thin client there in that patient room. And so when I badge in, I get automatic access through VMware Horizon to a virtual desktop running high-resolution 3D medical imaging. Same sort of 3D stuff we saw in that really cool video a few minutes ago from Google and Nvidia. The point here is that I don't need a high-end 3D workstation. I can use that thin client. I can use my iPad. I can even use my phone if I need to. The point is I can get access to this high-resolution 3D data from wherever I am while I'm on the go.
This is a workstation now in the room of the patient.
Yeah, thin client, or whatever it is that I have in front of me. OK, so I can check out what's going on here. But you know, a lot of times I need to get the advice of a specialist. In this case, my esteemed colleague, Dr. Poonen. I'd love to get your advice on this case. Now, I can't just send Sanjay an email with this document in it, right? I got to have security. I got to have HIPAA compliance. And I need something better. I need something that has that built in. That's exactly what AirWatch Secure Content Locker offers. I, as a doctor, don't need to worry about those security and compliance issues because Secure Content Locker takes care of it for me. I can just focus on collaborating with other doctors and finding a resolution to this patient's issues. So here you can see I'm adding in Sanjay. I'm sharing that document with him. I'm just going to write him a quick note. Now, let's switch back to the slides real quick and check out what's happening on the back end here. Because again, unbeknownst to me, this is all transparent as a doctor. But behind the scenes, a lot of things are happening. So here I am at my hospital, City Hospital. And what we see is that Sanjay is actually at a different hospital, University Hospital.
I'm at Stanford University Hospital.
Got
Got
it.
it.
Exactly. Okay. And so what's happened here is that we have different security perimeters around these two hospitals, right? But what we're doing here is really taking Secure Content Locker and extending that security perimeter inside of Sanjay's hospital, specifically to his device, in this case, your iPad.
OK,
right?
so now I'm able to log into my iPad at Stanford University.
Right. So let's jump into that and see what your iPad looks like.
Got the nice green-looking screen, and I'd like to bring up my own content locker. And hopefully, the image that you've sent me, I can actually bring up now an X-ray image, and I can collaborate around this. You've asked me to look at this, which I will. But you know, actually, Kid, I'd actually like to hone in on that particular little white spot in the skull. I'd like to maybe annotate this maybe sort of cover this and write a short note to use to say maybe that's the area you've got to focus on.
Well, thanks. That's helpful for me. And the cool point here is that we can collaborate and annotate in real time here. So we can actually work together, even though we're at different hospitals, in a very secure and HIPAA-compliant fashion to reach an agreement on what's happening with this patient.
Perfect.
All right. So that's great. So let's jump back to the slides. So again,
I think people have gotten a little bit, enough of the skulls here. So
yeah. Enough of the medical
back to
images.
perhaps
right.
showing how the IT people use this.
Well, the point here was that as I went throughout my day, I used different devices. I was in different locations. But in the end, it was all about having more time to treat patients. And that's really what it's all about. And that's exactly how this mobile cloud architecture is empowering me as a doctor and as an end user. Now, it's not just about end users, right? That's a big piece of it, but IT is another big part of it as well. We have to be able to manage these systems. And the biggest challenge for IT today is simplification of management, as all these devices proliferate and flood into the workplace. You got to be able to manage at scale. So the first part about that is focusing on how you simplify application delivery. Well, the good news is that AirWatch has already radically simplified app delivery on mobile devices. It's really easy for admins to entitle a user or a group of users to an app. It's just a point-and-click experience in an admin UI. They click a couple of buttons, and boom, that app just pops up on that user's device. It's really simple and frankly, foolproof, right? It's the exact same simplicity that we want to bring to the desktop side. And that's exactly why we acquired Cloud Volumes. So let's jump into a demo and check out what that looks like. OK, so again, I'm the IT guy. I'm the IT admin here.
All right, you're CIO Kit Colbert now.
Yep, so now I've got my Mac here. I've loaded up your virtual desktop. And I notice here that you've downloaded a file. You tried to open it.
Yeah, it's PowerPoint, but I can't open it.
Yeah, no PowerPoint on
Looks
that
like I don't have Office
virtual
installed.
desktop. So let's switch over to the Cloud Volumes admin UI. And we can entitle you to this application, or the Office suite, actually. Now, you'll notice that as we go through here, as we click, it looks very similar in concept to AirWatch, right? That same simplicity, the mobile experience of pointing and clicking to entitle Sanjay or an entire group of users to this app. Now, before we do the assignment, let's take a look and really make sure we watch that Windows desktop, and specifically that Cloud Volumes
OK, you're
icon.
going to install Office for me on my desktop.
Yeah, so the icon's blank right now because Windows, there's no app to handle it. But when we hit assign, what you'll see is that that application will be immediately delivered to that desktop, and the icon will update. There it goes.
Is it really that fast?
That was it, yep.
And it could be to groups of users at the same time.
Yep, it could be to you, to many people, it doesn't matter.
Okay,
the point is that this is not streaming in the background or anything. Cloud Volumes is actually leveraging all the hypervisor innovations we've done in vSphere to optimize the delivery of that application so it's super lightweight and fast.
Simple and easy. Now I can now open it up in PowerPoint.
Yep.
But you know what, Kit? That's like a simple scenario. I mean, I got dozens, maybe hundreds of applications on my desktop.
You're a power user, I know.
I'd like to think I am.
OK. Well, you know what? Just as easily as we added the Office suite, we can give you a lot of apps. How many apps do you want? You want a few hundred?
Yeah, I don't know, 50, 100, somewhere in there. What do you got?
So we got this lots of applications.
Wow, yeah, that looks a little bit like...
Yeah, 215, 216. It's a lot of apps. So just as easily as we entitled you to the PowerPoint suite, which was with 21 apps, not just one, it's quite a few, we can do it here as well. Again, a couple of simple clicks. We make the assignment, and just as quickly as we delivered Office, we can give you all this insane amount of stuff here.
OK, that looks more like my desktop.
Does that look like,
Although I need to clean it up a little bit, but that looks more like my desktop. OK. All right, I get it. I think this is remarkable. I didn't think it could be that easy.
It does look like a power user's desktop, Sanjay. So, all right. So that's great, right? So we've simplified application delivery for desktop. But the point is that we also need to think about how we simplify desktop delivery itself. And the reality is that when you think about desktop delivery today, it's quite a cumbersome and time-consuming process. It can take on the order of minutes to provision a virtual desktop. And if you're provisioning hundreds or thousands of these things, that can be very time-consuming, and really it's just not scalable, right? We need a better way. So just like Cloud Volumes leverage hypervisor innovation to optimize the delivery of applications, so we can do the same for desktops themselves. And as a matter of fact, Pat talked about this yesterday with Project Fargo. Project Fargo clones a running virtual machine to create an identical one in just a second or so. It's very fast. And so this is important for a couple of reasons. The first is that you get a new powered-on virtual machine in about a second. And the second is that virtual machine, the new one at least, is extraordinarily lightweight because it shares all the memory and data with the original. So we have this process today that takes many minutes. And when you put it all together, leveraging Project Fargo, what we can now do is get that to just a couple of seconds to get you a new virtual desktop ready to go. That's a 30x speed improvement.
Wow, that's incredible. It's really 30 times faster.
Exactly. It's amazing, right? And so here's the crazy thing about it. We've taken something that used to be quite expensive and have now made it basically free. And anytime you do that transition from expensive to free, it gives you tremendous opportunities to think about how you re-architect a system. And that's exactly the opportunity we're taking when thinking about the mobile cloud architecture for desktop. So let's take a look at how this works when we put it all together. So we start off, we have our vSphere systems running. We've got one virtual machine, a base Windows image. We call it the live template. Now, when a user logs in, what happens? They choose the device they want. They log in. We will use Project Fargo to clone that virtual machine. Again, under a second, very fast. We then use Cloud Volumes to dynamically inject all that user's applications and data. So what we now have is a fully personalized virtual machine, virtual desktop for that user. But it's completely transparent to that user, because it only took a couple of seconds, right? And then when that user logs out, we can destroy that desktop.
Disposable, truly disposable.
So the important part here is not the desktop. It's the mobile cloud architecture and the fact those apps and data live up in the cloud. The desktop itself is just a temporary vehicle for delivering apps and data to the end user, just like any device is in the mobile cloud architecture. This is extraordinarily important for a couple of reasons. The first is that it radically simplifies administration. No longer are you dealing with bits on a disk. Just like with mobility, it's now checkboxes in an admin UI. Those bits on a disk, they are dynamically reconstructed for you by the system when that user logs in. The second, you're going to see tremendous cost reduction through increased consolidation due to all the resource sharings we talked about with Project Fargo. And finally, it's just more secure. Whenever a user logs in, it's like they get a brand new desktop, all the apps, all the data, up to date, the latest patch level. And again, this is very much like mobility, where apps are consistently and constantly being updated, so you're not left with any known vulnerabilities. So this is something we're working on internally, calling it Project Meteor. But what we realized was that we're really defining kind of a new category for desktop here. And so it's something that we're calling just-in-time desktops. It's desktop reimagined and inspired by mobility.
This is amazing, kid. I think this is just absolutely fascinating. So ladies and gentlemen, as we wrap this up, here are the three messages we want you to be able to take away. A unified experience now driven from this mobile cloud type of architecture reinvents everything. All devices, desktop to laptops.
Right, and customers are taking this and actually driving real change with it, as we saw with the healthcare example from earlier.
All of this is possible with a world-class infrastructure, and being optimized for the software data center really makes this magic really happen. And speaking of the software-defined data center, it brings us great pleasure to introduce the next speaker, Raghu Raghuram, the General Manager of SDDC. Thank you very much. Have a good conference.